Today, we're going to talk about college football week 4 2023 schedule. I'm going to dive right in, talk about some of the games that sticks out. Some of the games might even kind of, scoot under the radar. We'll get to that after this really stupid intro.
Go ahead and pack your dookie chicken, go do what you do best. Go ahead and pack your dookie chicken and the tigers will do the rest. Take the fish out of water and try to make it drive the car.
Yes, folks, I am Brian Knight. I am not Bobby Durkins, the voice that you heard there singing that really terrible song, at least not right here. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. It's free. It helps the channel. Hit the thumbs up, even hit the thumbs down. I do appreciate you stopping by. So, if you've been following my channel, or if you've been following this this sequence of videos I've been doing, I started with week 0. Now we're at week 4. Now, up to this point, we've had a few good games sprinkled in among the games that, transparently, unless you pull for a specific team, or if you're like me, and God help you if you are, you're just watching football, watching college football just because it's college football. You're tired of not having college football. But when we get into week 4, we have some really big games. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a link from FBSschedules.com. This is the 2023 college football schedule. I'll also drop that link in the description. So check that link out. You can save it to your computer or your phone, whatever, and it'll help you keep up with what games are coming up on a specific week. Also, I will be dropping an invitation for you to hop on and talk to me. I'll drop that in the comments section, and we can chat. We just want to keep it clean and keep it family friendly. So let's dive right in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this FBS college football schedule, and you should see it now. Now, this is week 4 of the 2023 college football schedule. And let me see, what's the best way I'm just going to take myself out of the screen so you can see this. Now, the very first game for that week is September the 21st. That is a Thursday night, 7:30 p.m., Georgia State at Coastal Carolina. Now, last year, Coastal Carolina went to Georgia State. They went to Atlanta. Along with my oldest son and Parker Henderson, we went to this game. Chase couldn't make it because I think he was at someone's funeral. But for anyone who knows the Henderson sisters who comes into this comment section, you know Parker and Chase. So we went to this game. It was fantastic. It was a lot of fun. Coastal pulled it out. Grayson McCall got hurt. Now, I'm only talking about this game because, first, my oldest is a big Coastal Carolina fan. Of course, Coastal Carolina is here in the state of South Carolina, where I'm from. Grayson McCall has returned. Tim Beck, this is his first year as the head coach. I fully expect Coastal Carolina to win this football game. I don't expect them to drop this one. I know the defense is questionable, but the offense is absolutely stacked. So I'm going to move a little faster. For some of you are like, why did you spend much time on that game? For that reason and that reason only. By the way, if you've hopped in here, I see I've got some viewers on here. Feel free to hop in the comment section, say hello. It'd be good to hear from you. So on Friday, September the 22nd, now it gets a little more interesting. Now you're starting to see a little more interesting games. Have number 25 at this point. Number 25, Wisconsin at Purdue. Now, Purdue has a brand new head coach. They have a brand new head coach. And Wisconsin has a brand new head coach. Fickle from Cincinnati's taken over. This will be an interesting game. 2 new head coaches. I lean towards Wisconsin having the edge in this game. But that would be an interesting game to watch on a Friday night. You're just sitting around the house. Maybe you don't want to go out. Maybe you've had a tough week. You just want to watch college football, but you don't want to have to wait till the very next day. You have this game. especially if you're a Big Ten fan. This will be a game to watch. Next up, NC State and Virginia. Now, let me tell you why this sleeper for most people is going to be interesting. The quarterback for Virginia over the past few years, he's considered one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC. I know the ACC is not doing well, but the ACC does have a few really good quarterbacks in it. Drake May, I believe, is the best at this point. Cade Klubnik with Clemson, he's developing. But there was Devin Leary at NC State. He transferred out to Kentucky. But oddly enough, Virginia's redheaded, left-handed Brennan Armstrong transfers from Virginia after only 1 year with brand new head coach Tony Elliott, transfers down to NC State. Now, is NC State a better team than Virginia? Yes. But not by leaps and bounds. Not in my opinion. They're not. That was not a lateral move, but it wasn't too far from a lateral move. Obviously, he wanted something a little different, and Brennan Armstrong is going to get it there at NC State. I'll lean towards NC State winning that game. I'm going to move a little faster, move on into Saturday. Now, Saturday has some really good games in it. Of course, sprinkled with some sleepers. Now, as I'm looking at this, I'm going to give you a sleeper game that might be better than what a lot of people believes. Duke at UConn. Okay, before you turn off the video, just hear me out. Duke, last year with first-year head coach Mike Elko, yes, the former defensive coordinator at Notre Dame, Mike Elko took over Duke. They went 9-4. For Duke, that's the equivalent of making it to the college football playoffs for most teams. They're returning their starting quarterback who can absolutely play, along with about, 15 or 16 other players. They're at UConn. UConn has Jim Mora. Jim Mora, former NFL head coach, he took over the program last year. At one time, they were like 1-5. They ended up 6-6, and I can't remember what their final record was. I think they went to some terrible bowl game. But for him to do what he did at UConn and get them back on track, that's a big deal. This game might be a little more entertaining than what a lot of you would probably imagine. So now let's get into some really interesting games, worthwhile games. Right off the bat, Ohio State at Notre Dame. Ohio State at Notre Dame. Now, if you remember, in the 2022 season, the very first game of the year for both of these teams was Notre Dame at Ohio State. Notre Dame actually played Ohio State really well. They ended up losing 21-10. Ohio State scores a touchdown a little later in the fourth quarter to make it look a little more commanding, but the Fighting Irish actually played very, very well. And when you step back and think about what happened to the Fighting Irish, they ended up losing Tyler Buckner the very next week. They also ended up losing to Marshall the very next week. You go 3 weeks down the road, they lose to Stanford, who, how in the crap do you do that? But they ended up mending their season. They beat the crap out of Clemson, my favorite team. Ohio State goes to the college football playoff. Yes, they drop a game to Michigan, but they still end up in the college football playoff. This is going to be an interesting game. Marcus Freeman's going to have a 6-year, if I'm remembering this right off the top of my head, Sam Hartman out of Wake Forest, who transferred up. He has a brand new offensive coordinator. And they're going to be playing at home. They're missing players like Michael Mayer and so on, but Notre Dame still has talent. This is going to be a very interesting game. If anything, people are going to tune into this game because it's a non-Big Ten game that should be a Big Ten game. Notre Dame should be in the Big Ten. If they're going to go to any conference, they should be in the Big Ten. It just makes sense. But Ohio State and Notre Dame, that's going to be 7:30 on NBC. And I know a lot of people doesn't like NBC and the Notre Dame NBC connection, but I'm telling you, I really enjoy it. They do a really good job. I wish more college football was on NBC. I really do, because they do a really, really good job on their production. That's just something I really enjoy. It's actually interesting. If you're a Big Ten person, Iowa at Penn State might stick out to you. You never know how Iowa's going to do, but Iowa, there is no surprise when Iowa starts off like, I don't know, 5 or 6-0, and then they play a team like Penn State and they get blown out. This will be week 4. So I haven't looked at Iowa's schedule, but I feel quite confident they're going to be about 2-1, 3-1, according to how many weeks they've been playing at this time. They're, after they lose to Penn State, I believe they'll lose to Penn State. Scrolling on down, number 22, Ole Miss at number 6, Alabama. Remember, this is preseason rankings, so there's a chance that this is not going to be the same. But Ole Miss at Alabama, Lane Kiffin against his old boss. His old boss, Nick Saban. He's the Darth Vader of college football. You either love him or you hate him. There might be a few in-betweens there, but you either love him or hate him, but you darn well better respect him. I know as a Clemson fan, it was an honor to beat him twice. That's how good he is. Lane Kiffin's going to come in and do his thing. This will be a very entertaining game. I'm going to take a wild guess that this is going to be like a 3:30 on CBS game. It's going to be the afternoon game. They always put like the really massive game at 3:30. They always do the Georgia game at 3:30, Florida game down in Jacksonville. They always put that on at 3:30. This is going to be a massive game. One of the best games of the day. So look for that. Look for that one. UTSA at Tennessee. Now, if you missed me having Sports Talk Jay on a couple of weeks ago, don't stop this video if you're joining me live. If you're watching this later on, pause this video and go find that video, Sports Talk Jay, and tell him, if you go and check him out and you subscribe, tell him that not Bobby Durkin sent you. But he's a massive Tennessee fan, and he played golf at Tennessee. He has a fantastic channel, by the way. And we both agreed this will be a tougher game than what people think. UTSA has a 7th-year college football player at quarterback. And he can actually play. I believe between medical and COVID and all of that stuff, he's actually getting to play a 7th year of college football. And UTSA over the past few years has actually been pretty doggone good. They have been pretty good. And they return a lot of key members for their team from this past season. So I fully expect Tennessee to win this game. But Tennessee better not come into this game going, this is UTSA. We have teams like Bama and Georgia and all of them to worry about. We're Florida. This is not the game to do that, folks. This would be a game that if an upset happened, yes, it would shake the college football world. Yes, it would shake the SEC, even though it was a non-conference game. But it is not out of reality. It's not out of the realm of possibility, okay? That would be a better way to say that. Once again, I know somebody out there, this is what they heard. They heard me say that UTSA was going to beat Tennessee. I did not say that. I said that UTSA has to be taken seriously by Tennessee. Now, if Tennessee goes in there and they're focused, they win the ball game, especially if Milton has his crap together. Especially if he has his crap together. Now, here's an interesting game for especially us East Coasters, especially us Southern boys like myself. It really doesn't matter overall, but with who just took over the team, it'll be very interesting to see. Deion Sanders, new head coach at Colorado. And I have to pump the brakes on a few things I've said about Colorado. I talked about I did not know who was running offense and defense for them. So what did I do? I got my Lindy's. I'm not supporting Lindy's or I'm not paid by them. I'm just saying this is the one. This is the book that I have. But I went and said, I need to go look up who is actually coaching for him because I've taken a shot that I don't know who his coordinators are. Okay. Which, by the way, is very important. If I know who the head coach is, but the offensive coordinators or the defensive coordinators, I have absolutely no clue who they are. And it's almost as though it's just the head coach, show. I'm telling you, in football, that's a big deal. Who's coaching for you is a big deal. And so I have to apologize because Charles Kelly is the defensive coordinator for Colorado. Charles Kelly was the defensive coordinator for Florida State when Jimbo Fisher and famous Jameis Winston won the national championship at Florida State. This guy can coach. So that's a big deal. So I had to pump my brakes. Of course, offensive coordinator for Colorado's former Kent State coach, Sean Lewis, kind of a high flying, fast offense. That's a big deal. But the reason I'm bringing up this game is because it's at number 15, Oregon. Now, Oregon's a tough place to play. So I know that Oregon, they're inconsistent at times. But once the game starts, they're going to care less that Deion Sanders is on the sideline. Now, if Deion Sanders was on the field playing, that would be a bigger deal. But he's on the sideline. He does have some good athletes. The questions there is with Delp and so on. That'll be an interesting game. Very interesting game there. So, us Clemson fans, and I want to throw this out there, I'm going to be breaking down the Clemson games this year for this 2023 season. For any of my Clemson subscribers, I want to let you know that is going to be happening. Right now, I'm just doing the whole college football week by week thing because we're still about 3 months out, a little less than 3 months. Thank you. I just realized it's a little less than 3 months now from college football kicking off week 0. But as I get closer, I'm going to go through the Clemson schedule, and we're going to talk about these games. I might even go individually so we can focus on the opponent, who they are, what's went on in the offseason. So that's something I'm definitely going to do. But for this video, and I had someone suggest that to me, and I appreciate it. I do consider it, and I messaged them back and said, thank you, I appreciate it. But for this, I'm just going over this game. Now, at this time on FBS schedules, I don't know who they're using for the rating system. They have Florida State at number 3. I think that is totally inflated. They have Clemson at number 9. I can accept Clemson at number 9. I would not be. Now, I hate to say this, Tiger fans. I know some of you are going to get really pissed at me and go talk bad about me on some forum somewhere. But if Clemson were to drop down to somewhere around, I don't know, number 11 or number 12, that wouldn't offend me either, to a point. But number 9, Clemson, Florida State. Florida State, remember, their very first game, they have to play LSU in Orlando. They beat LSU last year. LSU they have their eyes on this game. Florida State will have to show their playbook, the majority of their playbook, if not all of it, of the plays that they actually want to use, that they believe is actually the core strength of their team. They're going to have to show it in that very first game. Now, Clemson in their very first game plays Duke. As I said, Duke is much improved. This is not going to be a walk in the park. It's just like I said to UTSA, Tennessee fan watchers, you better watch that game if you're a Vol fan. I didn't say that you're going to beat that Tennessee's going to lose. I just said you have to respect them and so on with Clemson, with Duke. But Clemson should be able to line up the football and just run it down their throat. Florida State will be seeing Clemson's playbook most likely for the first time in this game. Most likely for the first time in this game. That's a big deal. I'm going to lean towards my Tigers winning this ball game in Death Valley. I lean towards that. because it's Death Valley. In Florida State, yes, they've done some good things. I'll get into that more, but there's other games to talk about. I still lean towards Clemson. And even after this game, Clemson still has some really tough tests ahead of them within conference play. All right, Texas at Baylor. I'm kind of shocked that Baylor is being disrespected as much as they possibly are. In fact, I'm just going to do this live while I'm here. I want to see exactly how many players Baylor has lost for them to be deemed unranked, especially when they're going to be home. Okay, they're going to be home in this game. Texas at Baylor. I know that they're not playing the same football. Let me see how many players they return. Okay, they're only returning 9 players. Okay, they're returning their first string quarterback from last year, which is good. So maybe that's the reason why. Maybe that's something that they're leaning towards here. But I'm going to tell you, I would not be shocked to see Baylor win this ball game. Texas, I'm going to tell you, you've bought some of the best players between you and Texas A&M. You have bought some of the best players in college or in high school football, and especially NIL, the transfer portal. You have got to put it together. My God, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if Baylor beats them here. Now, I don't believe that Texas will be number 10 at this time. Alabama's going to beat them. Unless if Texas come out and beats them, they beat them strong, and they're showing really dominant offense and defensive play across the board. They're not making stupid mistakes. I can go ahead and promise you. That that would be what makes me go, okay, maybe Texas is back. Maybe they're back. I don't know. Don't be shocked if Baylor wins that football game. All right. We're going to go on down. I absolutely despise South Carolina Gamecocks, but Mississippi State will be coming to town. First-year head coach, can't remember his name right off the top of my head, taking over from Mike Leach. So the Gamecocks will probably, unless something crazy goes on, will probably be favored in that game. Even though it makes me want to barf to say that. South Carolina, especially with Shane Beamer and him trying to – I'm telling you, that guy can coach. I hate to say that, but Shane Beamer can coach, and that's going to be a tough game for them. But I think they should probably win that ball game. And I'm going to finish out here with 2 games. I'm going to skip one and finish with the other. Arkansas at LSU. Arkansas at LSU. We know what happened back in the 2021 season with Arkansas. Some really good things happened. It started off the season last year with higher expectations. Didn't really meet them. But the job that's been done there is a big deal. That's a big deal that Arkansas has done as well as they've done. This is not a sleeper game for LSU. LSU can go and be undefeated up to this point. If they lose to Arkansas, it's going to be a hard claw back within the SEC. And it's going to be a hard claw nationally to claw their way back from that mental gymnastics. That's an interesting game to watch. And the one that I'm going to close down with is Auburn at Texas A&M. First year, Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze can coach. He's at Texas A&M. Texas A&M, they still have with all the transfers that has happened, they still have so much talent on that football team. It is gag-worthy. He has Bobby Petrino calling offense. Now, those 2 guys can never give a speech to their players about ethics. You can never have either one of those guys give a speech to their players about ethics. But off of that note, this could be a pretty good football game. The seed is really heating up with Jimbo Fisher. It really is. This would be a game that would be for the taking for Hugh Freeze. That would be a big deal. That would be a very big deal if he were to take that game. Don't be shocked if he does. Remember, Appalachian State won last year in College Station. And it's definitely possible for this Hugh Freeze team to do the same. So, folks, I'm going to end there. I'll keep the screen up here for just a second. Kind of drop myself down here. I just put the link. The link to the live show here, the live stream, in the comments section. So if you want to hop on here and talk to me, click on that. Just remember, we want to keep it family friendly, and we want to try to stay off of non-football topics that could be just, well, there's no reason to talk about it. So if you want to hop on here and talk to me for a second, we want to discuss your team or discuss this particular week that I'm looking at, go to the comments section. You'll see I just posted a StreamYard. You can just click on that link. If you don't want to turn on the camera, you can actually block out the camera and just talk to me almost like a call-in show. So as I wait just to see who shows up, I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and I'm just going to look back over this. If there's any games that I missed, if there's a game that has some, I don't see anything that I really missed here. I think I pretty much covered everything here. The games, obviously, the games of the day: Ohio State and Notre Dame, and Florida State at Clemson. Also, if you want to do something that I think that is really fun, is to go look up the ticket prices for these games and track them. Now, for me, if I think that a team is not worth their ranking, if I believe that they're receiving preseason hype and they're undeserving, and I want to go to a game that they're going to be playing, transparently, I will wait to see if they get upset before buying tickets like now. Now, on the other hand, let's take teams in the Sun Belt. I like Coastal Carolina, and I want to see them play at Appalachian State. Well, how their single season tickets are laid out, how they're laid out is they'll sell their season tickets first, and then they'll wait, and they'll begin to release one set of tickets for a game for single season purchases. So right now, if you were to go to, let's just say, SI Tickets, and look up the Appalachian State Coastal Carolina game, it's going to be in Boone, North Carolina this year. It's a beautiful area. You would see some pretty outlandish prices. You would see some pretty outlandish prices right now, considering the size of the stadium, considering the program. I know Appalachian State has respect, but among college football fans, but let's be honest with ourselves here. They're not Ohio State. They're not Clemson. So those ticket prices are not normally as high as you would see here. Now, it's not outlandish like $400 or $500 a ticket just to sit in the nosebleed sections, but it is somewhere well over $100 per ticket for that Coastal at Appalachian State game. The trick here, especially in the Sun Belt, is they'll release it about a month. They'll release the tickets, single game tickets, about a month before that particular game. And you can still buy them for like either $40 or $45 a piece. And so that's one way to save some money and go see some good football. Another way, as I said, if I believe a team, even though I want to see them, is just overly hyped in the preseason, everybody's like, this team's going to be great, and the ticket prices is through the roof, I will wait, especially after they've played a tough game against somebody, and see if they lose, and especially the manner they lose. So, for instance, Notre Dame. I want to see the Notre Dame at Clemson game. Notre Dame always drives up prices. I know you may hate Notre Dame, may love them, I don't know. But normally when they come to town, even if they're not that good that particular season, the ticket prices are some of the most expensive. I can only imagine. I haven't even looked at the Ohio State Notre Dame prices. But the price for a Notre Dame team who's lost one game, and according to the fashion they lose that game, versus an undefeated Notre Dame team coming into Clemson, that could be a few $100 difference according to where you're going to sit. Could be several $100 cheaper than what you would pay in preseason, just because of hype and so on. So, well, listen, I put the link in the comment section. If anybody wants to hop on, I give you just a few more minutes. Just keep it clean. Let's have some fun there, but just keep it clean. And I'll give us just a few more moments, and then after that, I am going to end this live stream, the week 4 review of college football 2023. So I've had a few more people join me here. If you want to join, go to the comment section, click on the StreamYard link, and you can join me here on the show, and we can chat. If you don't want to be on camera, but you want to talk to me, you can just turn your camera off. As I said, we just want to keep it family friendly, nice and clean. I just want a clean show, whether the little ears are watching it or not. It's just one area we can keep some things clean. So if you want to join in, there's the link in the comments section. I'm really interested, as I'm waiting here, just to see if anyone joins in. I'm really interested in seeing how teams adjust to Colorado and the Pac. Now, I've watched Pac-10, Pac-12. How many still left in the flipping conference? The artist formerly known as the Pac-10, Pac-12. And I think Colorado could do solid there just because the conference is so bad. Now, I'm not putting down on the talent that Colorado has. They brought in some big names, Travis Hunter, and then that kid, Cormani, or whatever his name is. He committed to Miami, and then you turn around, decommitted, and signed with Colorado. This could be a big deal. They could do very, very well. And they do have some good players there. But I think where rubber's going to meet the road is when they have to play Utah. Utah, when they're out of their conference, if Utah had to play Wake Forest tomorrow, not Wake Forest, I want an SEC school. By the way, I have 7 people in here. If you want to hop on and talk to me, I put the stream link in the comments section. All you have to do is click on that. You hop on here and talk to me. If you don't want to be on camera, you just turn your camera off, and we can just chat. But you take Utah, and if they had to play Kentucky, Kentucky's not a great football team. They're not a bad football. They're just an average football team. I guarantee you, Utah would find a way to make that game a close game or lose it. But they would turn around and play a Southern Cal team who has a lot of talent on it. Lincoln Riley is a fantastic play caller, and beat them. Beat them twice like they did last year. So I see Colorado maybe doing pretty well within that conference. Now, it's a bad time for them to join the conference, or not join the conference. It's a bad time for Deion to take over to a point, because Oregon State is now ramping up. Their coach, Jonathan Smith, turned urine into wine last year with the job that he did, taking that decrepit football team and really getting them to play and play well. They could have had one other win right off the top of my head, and that would have been against Southern Cal. Barely lost Southern Cal. And he's getting more talent out there. Obviously, USC, Utah, Oregon, those teams right there, it's there's a few toss-ups there that they might be able to win. Thanks, Dale. It's good to talk to you. I'm glad you stopped by, my friend. But he might be able to win because of the inconsistencies within that conference. Who knows? Who knows? Well, folks, I've given us some time for anybody to hop in on the StreamYard link and talk to me. And since no one's joined on, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Hey, look, we have college football at its finest, waiting just right around the corner. This week 4 will be a really good Saturday to grab your favorite beverage, to go out and cook your favorite steak, grill it, heck, order in, whatever. Whether you're watching at home or getting out to the ballpark and checking out your team, this would be a great week to do it, according to who you're pulling for, or just settle in and watch college football across the country. So we're starting to see the games get tougher. We're seeing teams become better. There'll be some teams that everybody thought that they were going to be better that they're just at the end of the day, we're going to figure out that they were overhyped, as the media does every year, just either sell subscriptions or keep certain fan bases engaged with games when they darn well know that the football teams is not near as good as what they said they were. So this will be the time where the rubber begins to meet the road for some teams. And it's you start to get a better idea who is good, who's really good, who's championship level, and who just sold us a bag of rocks. And so we'll figure that out. Hey, look, if you're brand new here, hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up. Also, check out the Bobby Durkins channel. Yes, my alternate personality who a lot of people hates, Bobby Durkins. Check him out. He just went to Buc-ee's, by the way. I don't know if anybody's heard about this, but Bobby Durkins just went to Buc-ee's, the world's largest gas station, over on the Bobby Durkins channel. And yeah, he had a grand old time. Well, you take care of yourself, and I'll catch you next time for week 5 of the college football preview. If you have any suggestions or any teams or whatever college football base you want me to talk about, put it in the comments section and I'll see what I can do. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a great weekend. If you're watching it later on, I hope you have a great day. Take care.